up, everybody? Welcome back to our weekly fantasy escapades, we're going to call it this week. Thanks for stopping by. And with that being said, I'm going to invite my co host, Mr. Improv Pete, to join me. We
Hello
can
there.
talk some foosball.
I love talking about some foosball. A lot
So,
of stuff going on.
yeah, a lot of ups. I guess you call them upsets last week. We got ties, we got randomness, we got good teams getting blown out.
We had Mahomes showing up again,
We got
being
the
the
Jets getting
Mahomes that
blown out like
fantasy
usual.
owners needed and wanted.
Correct. Definitely needed. hundred
Definitely
percent
needed,
needed.
true.
That
But
was a huge game for them. But yep.
well, yeah, of course, because I think I was checking out the rankings this morning, and Raiders and them are right neck and
And
neck. That whole
so was
division now,
Denver
anybody
was
can
in
take.
first, and then they lost to Philly, and you know
True.
so that killed them. So I believe Kansas City's now in first. I haven't fully checked on that.
We also have Jonathan Taylor, realistically going to be the lead rusher because Derrick Henry is obviously not there right now.
Of course.
Or so you have Jonathan Taylor. He's going to obviously eclipse the rushing yard.
Yep. Yep. Not that he's been bad this season, but Derrick Henry was on a different planet before he got hurt.
Yeah, but he always is. We've had this conversation weeks ago. But if I had the number one pick of the draft, okay, cool. McCaffrey's there. I understand that he had 70 plus points above everybody. But at the end of the day, you want the king. And I would have taken Derrick Henry just because he's just a beast. No matter what, You had McCaffrey with the injuries. Dalvin Cook, still a top 5 running back in rushing right now.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, and then you have, of course, Nick Chubb. Honorable mention there for him doing his due. But a lot of stuff going on. So I want to address this first question to you, and I'm going to read you some stats.
Go
And
ahead.
I
I
want to
was
get
just
your
looking at
thoughts
the
on it.
West.
So
Go
the
ahead.
topic we're going to go with week 11 is Mac Jones the next Tom Brady. I say this because looking at the first 10 career starts, right?
Uh-huh.
Tom Brady is 7-3.
Uh-huh.
Jones is 6-4. Okay.
Okay.
Completion percentage, Brady 66.1, Jones 69.
Okay.
Passing yards, Brady 203.6
Mm-hmm.
to Jones at 233.3. Passes for touchdowns to interceptions, Brady 16-7, Jones 13-7, and finally pass rating, Brady 94.5, Jones 94.1.
Okay. So now your question is that because so far so good, right?
I would say I think he's doing an admirable job.
Correct. But now, how many fingers you got?
Last time I checked 11, but let's say
11.
10 for this argument.
All right. We'll hold up this many. All right. Do you know what that many is?
Super Bowl rings?
That is that many Super Bowl rings that one Tom Brady has. How many fingers do you not have held up for Mac Jones? Okay. I get it. It's his rookie year, so he couldn't possibly have 6 Super Bowl wins, but comparing Mac Jones's opening start in a league that's completely different, not completely different, but very much so different
Then when
than when
Tom Brady
Tom Brady
started, I agree.
started, you could go back in time and be like, so and so, you know, was even worse, a guy from like the 80s when all they did was run the ball type of deal, okay. So it was very hard to compare anybody anyway. I would say an easier comparison would normally be Super Bowl wins, but that's just wrong. It's very Brady's there, and most of everyone else is there. Dan Marino was arguably one of the best quarterbacks of all time, had zero. So, and John Elway hadn't won one until the end of his career. And those are two
Big names. Yep,
Hall of
I
Fame
agree.
quarterbacks. So it's not easy to do. So the fact that Brady has six of them says something alone. About him, about the franchise, etc.
Going to a completely different team and just bringing them to the promised land, something insane. But no, like I said, I'm not saying that Jones is going to get 6 Super Bowl rings. I'm not saying that, but he's just for somebody who came into New England after, the success that Cam Newton was, but you have Jones, looked a little bit rusty in the earlier season. There's no doubt, but I think he's becoming his own. I don't think that, like I said, I don't think he'll be the next crazy Brady, but I think that he'll be a respectable quarterback for years to come with him on this trajectory. I
In
mean,
two, two,
who
three
you
years,
throwing to on that team?
that's the point. In 2, 3 years, if you got to see what they put around him on offense.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Eventually, Brady got Gronk. Brady had Aaron Hernandez. Brady got Randy Moss for a little bit. And then, you had the Edelmans and stuff like that. They weren't superstars, but
Consistent.
they were above average players. He's got Jacoby Myers, Kendrick Bourne. He has tight ends. I'm not going to shortchange the tight ends. They're not Gronk and Hernandez before, someone wanted to go on a killing spree. But anyway, they're not those two, but it's not like they're, tier four tight ends. They're like tier two tight ends. And they could run a legitimate offense out of that. And then, the same thing. Granted, you never know who the running back is on that team, but Brady had some name talent.
Mm-hmm.
They had Corey Dillon, they had running backs. They weren't always the greatest, but so you got to compare all those things. If they're putting pieces around him, maybe if they can keep up with Buffalo in the future, because the other two teams don't look like they have. Maybe they're going in the right direction. Maybe they're not. 1 minute,
Well, I see maybe Miami going in the correct direction.
but they don't know what they want to do. 1 minute, they draft Tua, then they're going to trade Tua, then they're going to get Watson, then they're going to do this, then they're going to do that. What is your direction? You don't
Mm-hmm.
have a direction at the moment. Is it Tua, or are you going to sell your future to get Watson? Till you figure that out, it's impossible to say you're going in the right direction because you don't know what your direction is. A
So,
team with, as bad as they look, at least Jacksonville's like, okay, hey, we got Lawrence, we
yeah.
have NTN, even though he got hurt, we have James Robinson. We have those things. We know who our quarterback is. We know this. We're going this way. You need that where, yeah, the Dolphins have Howard and some other pieces, and they almost traded Howard at the trade deadline. So that's what I'm saying is I don't know what they're doing, and I don't even know if they know what they're doing.
Hmm. Well, I do want to say, welcome Greg to the show. Of course, he says maybe if Jones, of course, had some talent around him, which we're discussing. I definitely think if you put some talent around him, I do think the Patriots could be a team to reckon with. I mean, obviously, Josh Allen over in Buffalo is one of the best quarterbacks you can have right now in fantasy. As a fan of your sport, he's
Just
just been
in
doing great.
general. But that's what I mean is can they be that team that at least pushes Buffalo? You don't want to just have Buffalo walking, winning the division by like week 8 every year.
Well, but that same argument, just saying, could be said about Tom Brady for the last 10, 15 years because he would always just blow past everybody. Before Buffalo was Buffalo, the Jets were the Jets, and
Yeah, but
Miami was
up
Miami.
until like 2015, the Jets were a comparable team. Mark Sanchez made made the playoffs and had a playoff runs. They lost last second on a field goal to Pittsburgh that almost sent the Jets to the Super Bowl. Who knows what would have happened if that was the case? I get it. Rex Ryan is Rex Ryan. He's got words to say, he pisses people off, whatever, whatever, whatever. Ever since Rex Ryan's been gone, look at the Jets. They've been going through a coaching carousel, a quarterback carousel. The knock on Rex was he couldn't coach up the quarterbacks. Okay, great, but you got an offensive coordinator, you got a quarterback coach, all that. Rex's defense has got the job done.
Hmm.
Now the new coach is supposed to be a defensive guru, and where was the defense last week? I know the offense is nowhere to be found, which is nothing new. But there was no defense being played either.
That was very fair.
So back then, yeah, the Patriots were winning the division, but at least the teams were at around 500. Now it's you're going to get two teams in your division, possibly with top. I'm going to say seven. I'm not sure how realistic top five picks are, but you're going to have the Jets and Miami, unless something changes, both with top seven picks. Detroit is what they are. They tied a game, so they still need to win two games to get to those teams. But like it's not pretty. But the Texans, the Jets, the Dolphins, the Lions, are all duking it out for top five picks, placements at the moment.
I agree. I agree. How about we jump into next week's game, sir?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry, I'm getting Yahoo alerts. I'm the multitasking.
I have no
Start it
doubt.
up. Start it up.
And boom!
Boom,
Here we go.
indeed.
Got some games. Let's start off with good
So
lord,
I was gonna
probably
say you led in with it. So
the best game. The Patriots Falcons. Falcons are at home.
that they are. They did not look real good last week.
No,
Matt
they did not.
Ryan, as a fantasy quarterback, got 2 points. Which, is not the be all end all, but he got 2 points. The Patriots, should I get it to the games in Atlanta? I, let me backtrack 1 second real quick. And so this year, any team that's had any form of a pass rush has dominated the Falcons this year. And the Patriots do have a pass rush. So now, me leading into that saying is, I feel like this could be a game where the Patriots just stomp all over them. And obviously, I don't like to admit that. But if it's led true, which it has so far all season, any team that's been able to pass rush, because the Falcons don't have a line, the Falcons have gotten hammered. The other downfall is Cordell Patterson's a legitimate game time decision. And he's obviously one of their better playmakers. So being without him and then facing a team who can actually rush the passer is going to be scary for the Falcons. Also, the other tight end, the not Kyle Pitts, the other one is out as well.
So you just see the Patriots running a train and getting that dub.
Unless something goes wrong early in the game or a major injury occurs, yeah, this game could be over by halftime.
Ooh. Okay, okay. I will concur. Like I said, obviously it was the topic of the show. I do think that Jones is on, like, just having a great season, and Atlanta, what Atlanta's going to show up. Like I said, they look good certain weeks, and then the other weeks they don't look that great. And it's something where, yeah, they're home. You got that home field, home vibe. But I think that the Patriots, I believe I saw that they have like six games in a row with dubs. I think they've won the last six in a row. So they have definitely, they're on a roller coaster, and I don't see it slowing down. I just see it speeding up. And I definitely see the Patriots, like you said, by halftime, at least up by 10, if not more. I don't think
So
that anybody's going to stop New
if they're
England
up
right
double
now.
digits, it's going to be hard for the Falcons to come back anyway because now you're going to have to throw and you're playing right into their hands. So that's what I
Mm-hmm.
mean. That might be real ugly. We saw what happened when the Cowboys got up early on the Falcons last week, and it was boom. It just spiraled completely downhill. Like everything went wrong. Special teams went wrong. Obviously, the defense isn't very good, and their offense isn't good at all. So they're not a team built for making comebacks, which is sad because they're actually, with the extra wild card in the playoff hunt, realistically, and
Yeah.
they're one of the most ugly teams in football.
The whole NFC South. I mean, that division, like I said, is definitely something to keep your eye on. I mean,
No.
obviously Tampa is the front runner, but
Yep, but
slowly Carolina's coming back. Atlanta has their good games, and the Saints, depending on who we decide to play or not play.
Well, even so, that's what I mean. That's why these games now we're getting deeper into the season are becoming more and more important. So if you're
Hmm.
gonna be a playoff team, you got to start winning these games that you maybe shouldn't win or nobody thinks you're gonna win, type of
Hmm.
deal.
But who needs to win between the Dolphins and the Jets? The Jets are at home.
Who needs to win? Neither team at this point, I think, wants to win. The better draft pick, especially because the Dolphins have extra draft picks this
Hmm.
year, so they could really do some damage going into next year. But like I said, they don't have a direction with their team. Who needs to win? Obviously, Jets having a rookie coach probably need to win more. But
Hmm.
again, you want the better draft pick. So at this point, they're starting Joe Flacco, and I think we touched on it last week a little bit. If Joe Flacco plays 4 games, the pick that they traded for him becomes a goes from a 6 round pick to a 5th round pick. So I'm not in love with this Joe Flacco playing. I think I'd rather let White do his thing and see if he's a capable backup for next year type of deal. But it's the Jets, and the coach caved in, and the fans complaining, and this is what you get. You get Joe Flacco.
Do you think that we could see the Joe Flacco of yesteryear where he just put up points and he just is a good, solid quarterback for the week? Is
No,
he a fantasy pick
mm-mm.
this
No,
week?
no. I get it that there's bye weeks, so you're losing out on like a Matt Stafford this week. But at this point in the season, most guys already had their buys, so the good backup quarterbacks are all sitting there. Like you could have picked up Tua, you could have picked up whoever, you could have risked it and picked up Cam Newton, anything
Risky.
like that. Those are all probably almost definitely better options than Joe Flacco this week.
So we got from Greg, been down here in Florida. Dolphins are playing better. I told you guys last week.
They did play. I that was that Thursday night game. I don't know what Lamar, what happened, but yeah,
Um, I hope for your sake, at least the Jets do win, just so the rookie coach does not look like that bad. But I
yeah.
do
But
see
I
this
don't
game
want them
being
to win.
by 3 points or a field goal. I see this maybe being a 12-9 game.
No, I think Tua's gonna just blow them out of the water. The talk's been, this week the Jets are a sneaky team. Rex Ryan's got them fired up. The defense is still horrible. I hope some random Jets player watches this podcast and hears, this random guy with yellow and blue walls said our defense is horrible, and they actually play better. But the fact of the matter is, it's not going to happen. They have overpriced talent on defense and very underpriced talent. There's no like middle ground on this team, and that's where it falls down. The Jets teams, the competent Jets teams had, like a strong linebacking core, strong secondary, and then never really had a pass rush. This Jets team has a little bit of a pass rush and nothing else. So when the pass rush don't work, Jets defense don't work.
Mhm.
That's why they need these picks. They need to get, an elite pass rusher, something like that. They missed out. Bosa was the pick before the one year, things like that. They need that. They need the next Joey Bosa, the next Nick Bosa, the next TJ Watt, whoever. They need that.
Mhm. But by all accounts, Miami is taking this game.
I would think so.
Do you know what I am interested though?
Tell me.
Is the Bills versus the Colts. Bills are at home.
Yep. So now you've got a Bills team that scored 6 points against Jacksonville,
Hmm.
and a Bills team that scored 40 points against the Jets. So who's showing up this week?
That is very fair. That was going to be my question to you.
They're playing an actual team this week, legitimate team. You like you said earlier, you're gonna unless he gets hurt, you're gonna be facing most likely the league's leading rusher.
Hmm.
You know,
Can the Bills
again,
stop Taylor?
Bills are the number one defense in almost every category. So can they stop him? Yes. Will they stop him? is now
Colts
going
are
to be the
definitely
question.
going to win, though, Joe, says Greg. They're going to win. Write it down.
I might, I might. I'll take him up on that if he wins. We'll have to bring him on the show and kick us off. I,
I
I
do
don't
think
know.
this is a game that the Bills definitely have to show why they are the best team in the AFC East. I mean,
That is a fact. We've said that about a bunch of teams, and the next, they came out and lost the games. So, like
mhm.
Tampa, like the Rams. So, do they need to? Yeah, I think if Buffalo wins this game decisively, then they're going to be the team to beat. If the Colts hang in there, the Colts are going to be a team that's got momentum. So as they get in the playoffs, they're in business.
I do
I think
definitely see the Colts being a threat down the line.
the Colts have the pieces. The Colts need to find something to bring it all together. Carson Wentz, he's made some real questionable throws of late, but the weeks before that, like Carson Wentz was legit. I don't know what's come of him in the last 2 weeks, throwing the ball lefty for an interception, throwing some real bad balls. So if you can get Carson Wentz for the first 7, 8 weeks, yeah, they got a real shot at this game because obviously Jonathan Taylor's really good, Michael Pittman's really good. T.Y.
Mhm.
Hilton can never show up, that gives them another dimension. Their defense is, mid tier, so they can do some things. They have one of the best linebackers in football. So yeah, they can stop them. The Bills' run game's not great, so that helps the Colts. So it's definitely a game if you can get Carson Wentz to keep his head on his shoulders and play like he did in the beginning of the year. Yeah, there's a real legit shot. And I think if the Colts lose, say the Colts lose this game by 3, touchdown. I want to say 3. I don't want to say touchdown because a touchdown may look bad. They might have made a comeback in garbage time, whatever. They lose by 3. I think they get big momentum. If Buffalo blows them out of the water, there's no reason to think Buffalo's not the team to beat in the AFC.
That's very fair. I definitely think with the Bills being home, obviously in this cold weather in New York and Jersey, I think that it may favor them, but they have to definitely show which Buffalo team is up. I mean, you lost to the Jags a couple weeks back, like you said earlier, 6-9. That is a laughable score, especially for a team that going into the season was obviously the number one team in that division and looked good even last year, of course, facing off against the Kansas City Chiefs. But it's something where they do need to deliver. And I think if they can stop Taylor, even though fantasy lovers like myself and you who love Taylor, I think if they could stop Taylor, this might be the Bills' game to win.
Well, you did make two pretty good points there. The game being in Buffalo is huge because the Colts are an indoor team.
Hmm.
I don't know what Buffalo's weather's looking like, but we're looking here at rain on Sunday. Yes, we're 6+ hours away from Buffalo, so it could be completely different there. It could be a lot colder. You know, who knows? And if we're getting precipitation, maybe it's snowing up Buffalo. We don't know because it's only supposed to be like in the 40s here, so you may get even colder weather there. So that part is definitely good.
God, if
The
it
the
snowed in Buffalo, what a oh my goodness.
the they can't even use the excuse the Jacksonville game that they were looking ahead to their next opponent because they're playing the Jets. So that's not, they can't even make that excuse. I understand looking ahead, it tends to happen, but you're not looking past Jacksonville knowing you're playing the Jets the next week. There's no reason for that. And then you saw what happened to the Jets. I don't know if they were just angry because they embarrassed themselves against Jacksonville. They just blew the Jets out of the water, and the Jets played like they had their eyes closed for most of that game. I don't know. Either way, but the game being in Buffalo is definitely going to be a big factor. But with cold weather, usually favors running teams,
And you have the
and
number one running
one of the
back.
team has Jonathan Taylor, and the other one does not. So that's what I'm saying. Is there's a lot of factors into this game that can play into this thing. Josh Allen's got a big arm, so he can throw through the wind. That's not a concern. But the Bills don't have the running game. The Colts do.
That is very fair. I see Not by a lot. I definitely see a touchdown by the Bills for them to win this.
Well, that is the spread in the game. So to me, and I don't know. I, I, I think Buffalo could end up winning this game by double digits, but I also think the Colts, if Carson Wentz plays what he's capable of, they could certainly keep this game to 3.
Do you think, I know it's early in our observation, but do you think this is one of the games that is a must watch?
I want this to be the game of the week because I would love it to be a good game because these are two teams that could possibly play in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then you're definitely going to have real questionable weather because at this rate, unless something changes, I know the Titans are the one right now, but if these two teams were to play, it would be early on, and game would be in Buffalo.
And especially coming in that January weather. Ugh,
Yeah, where
I
you
would
got
not
a
want to
real good
be
chance
there.
of snow. One way or another, it's going to be cold, and are you getting snow or not? Indoor teams don't normally play good in bad weather in January.
That is very fair. You know who played bad last week?
Too many people, too many teams. But go ahead, tell me.
The Ravens. And they
The
face off
Ravens.
against the Bears.
Yep,
Bears are at home.
yep. And the Bears being at home mean anything to you in this game?
No, not even a
Okay,
little.
okay.
Soldier Field. Okay, cool. I
So
think
is this
the
Lamar's
Ravens.
bounce back game then?
Yeah, it
To
has to be.
show
It
why
has to be.
he needs to, before that game, it's Lamar's MVP to lose, Lamar's MVP to lose, and then Lamar wanted to lose the MVP. I don't know.
Hmm.
So is this the Lamar statement game? Like, hey, it was a blip on the radar, or is this I'm coming back down to earth week? The good thing is now David Montgomery is back, and he had an extra. I know he played the week before, but then he got another week off to rest. So you got David Montgomery should be at full speed, so that helps. Justin Fields did throw the ball better than what he had been, but Baltimore is a much better team. They just didn't look it last week. So what do you got here? Ravens by
I
double
see a
digits.
similar situation with the Bills. When the Bills got spanked around with the Jags, they came back and really just put the nail in the coffin with the Jets. Like you said earlier, with their eyes closed, you knew that it was the Bills saying, no, we are the team. And I see the same thing with the Ravens. I mean, no disrespect to the Bears, but I feel like pound for pound, the Ravens are the better team. Obviously, they have one of the best tight ends. They got Hollywood Brown. I mean, and you got Lamar Jackson, who is the front runner for MVP. So I don't understand how the Ravens don't go into this absolutely bringing their A game, showing why they are the dominant force and why people shouldn't take them very lightly and come towards the end of the season when they make that playoff run. You know that Lamar is hungry. You know that he wants to fucking be in that limelight. So why not show it against the Bears and say, no, remember that I'm one of the best quarterbacks you want to have in fantasy. I see easily a 30 plus game from Jackson this week. Easy.
Let's go out of fantasy as did they score 35 plus points? The Ravens.
Yes, I could see that. Yes, 100%.
Okay. All right.
Do you see that?
No. I think they'll score. They may score 30. I don't think it'll be like the Buffalo Jets game in that sense. I could see it being
I realistically see like a
31
17 type.
12, 31
Yep,
14
exactly.
in
I was
that
about to
area.
say. Well, like I said, will they hit the 35? No, but I damn think they'll get very close. This is like I said, Lamar's statement to show, listen, I got the weapons, I got the moves, and I'm going to show you here in Soldier Field why
Yeah,
I'm the
put
best.
that up there. Put that up on there.
For all you baseball fans. I mean, just to go off on that quick. I mean, how do you not give it to Otani?
You do,
I
but
love
he
me
was
some Vlad,
unanimous. Vlad got no love. Marcus Simeon got no love. I'm waiting for Matt to send over the voting to see how bad that ended up turning out. But go ahead. Let's back to what we're here for anyway.
but good on Otani. So yeah, I definitely see the Ravens coming out and just absolute domination. But when you
I
talk
think they'll
about
dominate it,
domination,
but do we talk about the nation of domination? What are we
yeah,
talking
right, the
about?
nation domination, you have to look at our next game, which is the Browns versus the Lions. Now, let's stop the presses, Joe. Guess what happened last week?
What happened last week?
The Lions, they tied. They didn't lose. They didn't win. They
Well,
tied.
I feel like we talk about the same thing every week. The Lions keep going in the right direction, so now they've gotten to a tie. They almost tied the Ravens. They did end up tying the Steelers.
Which are two very, very good teams.
I,
Could they possibly do that against the Browns? Could they do that against good old Baker?
I'm gonna look up something while we're talking. I'm gonna multitask.
Well, I'm going to
Baker's
hit you with
Baker's
some little
offense is what
facts
it
here.
is.
You have Chubb being the third best running back right now in the league. You're going to see him show why he's dominant. He's soon going to become the second. Obviously, with King Henry being out, you have Jonathan Taylor taking that top spot. Who's going to be right behind him by a couple points? You got good old Nick Chubb. But I think that Nick Chubb will have a great game this week. I think and like Greg said, I agree with him. I think it is the Browns bounce back. I think Sorry Lions, you're looking good, but we're getting into the nitty gritty of the season. We've been talking about this for the last couple of weeks, where buys matter and wins matter, and you need to have the wins that I don't want to say are easier wins, but not as challenging for the Browns if say they wouldn't go against say a better Kansas City team or a Tampa Bay team. Granted, last week we'll get into that, but I think that the Browns definitely are going to bounce back because the Lions have promise, but I don't think that they're going to be able to keep up with Cleveland, especially with the Browns being home and that home field atmosphere. I'm very about the home teams. I think that it really just brings an error like in Seattle, like in New Orleans. I think it's just an aura that brings, and I think Cleveland is going to be hot. They're going to be ready. And I don't think the Lions are going to stand a chance. I see by 2 touchdowns, but by God, do I want you to give me some facts, Mr. Joe.
By 2 touchdowns. So what happens if Nick Chubb doesn't play? Because this is what I need to look up because I didn't think he had been. But what happens if Nick Chubb doesn't play?
That's a very good question
Because
because
here you go. It has been taken for granted that Chubb will be active and starting against the Lions, but he's yet to be activated from a reserve list. It has to happen by Saturday or he cannot play. And it's Saturday afternoon, not like anytime Saturday. So he has a day and a half to be activated off this COVID list to be able to play. It says he's trending in the right direction, but you still need to pass COVID tests and all those things to be able to play. So you got to all Friday and Saturday morning. You got to pass them within 24 hours. So if you know take the test Friday morning, you got to pass it Saturday morning to be able to play. So you know and there's been known to be false tests. So what happens if there's a false positive pops? They're not going to risk it. And he ain't going to play. So now, just just spitballing. If that happens, then what? Are they still winning by
well, that's the
14?
question. Do you look at
Changes
Jarvis
the game.
Landry?
Does he ever look at Jarvis Landry or any other playmaker on
Well,
offense
that's
that's not a
that's the
running back?
problem that I could see
Is
happening
Kareem
over
Hunt
there.
still
If
ain't
Nick
back?
Chubb doesn't play, I definitely see the Lions having a better game. That like I think that Nick Chubb is definitely that heart and soul of that team. Not meaning like he just pounds on the ball. You know he's reliable. You know he's good. So if you don't have that come in
Twitter first.
for you because of unforeseen circumstances with the COVID testing, could this be the Lions showing and being like, you know what, we tied against the Steelers last week, but we're going to show you we're going to beat the Browns this week, and it's just going to be momentum going. So if Nick Chubb doesn't play, I definitely do see this game. I mean, it is 10 points
I
or
was gonna say the
10,
spread's 10 points, so
and it's I definitely see that if Nick Chubb doesn't play, this game is not, I think, going to be a field goal game down to the wire.
I mean, there's still no Cream Hunt. So usually it's Nick Chubb ain't going, we still have Cream Hunt. Lately, it's been Nick Chubb ain't going, and we also don't have Cream Hunt. We have Johnson. Johnson, started great. I don't know what he did last week, to be honest, because I don't think I had anybody in that game, and I will quickly look up what he did. But he's no Nick Chubb,
Mm-mm.
and he is no Kareem Hunt.
Kareem Hunt. Yep.
So, what is this offense? There's no more OBJ. So, what is this offense if if Hunt obviously Hunt's not playing? I mean, if Chubb doesn't go, he got 19 last week, so he showed up. He did his thing. So good on him. So okay, so he could be serviceable, but he's still not what they are.
I still think that even if Nick Chubb does not play, I do favor the Browns in this situation. By all means, I don't think you should play anybody on either team.
So you're not playing DeAndre Swift
Well, Swift is the exception.
or Hawkinson. So you can't go that far there. He's got to play Swift,
That
especially
is fair. I'm saying on the
especially if you're a
Brown
team
side.
that's got like
Let me
Henderson.
rephrase. On the Brown side, if Nick Chubb doesn't play, I haven't played Jarvis Landry in 3 weeks.
Yeah, and at this point, you shouldn't even have him on your fantasy team.
Exactly.
Peoples Jones started to look like he was something, and then didn't. They're not a throwing team. They're not a fantasy football team. They're not. You're not winning championships this year with Baker Mayfield on your fantasy. If he's your starting fantasy quarterback, yeah, maybe you're winning them with Nick Chubb, but again, if he doesn't play, he's not doing anything this week. So realistically, yeah, that team's a scary fantasy team per se.
Like I said, at the end of the day, Swift might do something, Hawkinson might do something, but I still feel that the Browns will take this game to the bank. Like I believe the Titans will take the Texans when the
Yeah,
Titans are home.
exactly. If the Browns can't run the ball, they fall apart in general. Not even a play calling; the just team falls apart. They're so reliant on those two running backs, and one's hurt and one's got COVID.
Definitely an interesting game to keep your eye on, especially if you're a Nick Chubb fantasy owner. Definitely want to keep an eye on what's going on over
Of
there.
course, but you'll know by Saturday. If he
Yeah, of course.
passed it, he's playing, and if he didn't, he's not playing. It's simple as that. It's not like, oh, I gotta wait till 12:55 to know if Nick Chubb's playing.
No, we'll know
If he's
tomorrow.
cleared, he's playing. If he's not cleared, he's not playing. It's pretty simple. So what do you
Mm-hmm.
got here on this one? You driving that Ryan Tannehill wagon? They did beat the Saints. Does that boost your perception of them up?
I do think the Titans will obviously win this. I mean, the Texans.
Of course, the Texans are now what the Texans are.
So we got. Let's see. What is? I'm trying to see on my screen.
And you know who we haven't heard from of late? Mr. Cooks. So
Yeah, Cooks has it. Let me. I'll do you. I'll do you one since you've been checking. Let me check good old his stats.
good. I'll dive into this. So the Titans are trying to piece together a run game. Adrian Peterson, Jeremy McNichols have not been working out. So now we're on to Deonta Foreman. He's the new hot ad for now.
I picked him up.
Is he better than Adrian Peterson? Yes. Is he better than Jeremy
Really?
McNichols? Probably. Are they going deep into the playoffs with him? No. And we bypassed it because it wasn't huge news because it wasn't really a surprise. The Ravens cut Le'Veon Bell. I'm not saying he's the answer, but he's got to be better than Adrian Peterson. I think at this point, I get it. Adrian Peterson should be a Hall of Famer, but he's older. There's not a lot left in the tank. Like, how long until they give Le'Veon Bell a run, or something like that? You trade deadline's gone, so you can't go pick up somebody. Breck, you gotta wait till Saturday, because if Nick Chubb's not playing, Dearness Johnson's the answer. If Nick Chubb's playing, then Foreman is the easy answer. So you gotta wait and see the whole Nick Chubb. He still hasn't been cleared. We just talked about it in the last one. If Nick Chubb does not get cleared, it's all Johnson. So he scored 19 points against New England last week. You would think he would do the same against Detroit. But if Nick Chubb gets cleared and is playing, his fantasy value is minimal. Where Foreman's got Adrian Peterson behind him, and that's no threat. So you
You
got to
mean an
wait till
old ass
Saturday.
running back is not going to be the answer?
I mean, maybe they could get Frank Gore out of mixed martial arts, and they can have him come be the running back. I don't know.
Good
But yeah,
lord.
Saturday is your answer day. We just talked about it. If Nick Chubb needs to clear by Saturday afternoon to be able to play, so if Nick Chubb does not clear, Johnson is the answer. Nick Chubb clears, then Foreman is the answer.
Very simple, very direct. Last 3 weeks for
Exactly.
Brandon Cook.
Go ahead, tell me.
4.6
Wow.
against Arizona.
Whoa.
18.3 against the
Okay,
Rams.
got it. I know that was
8.6
a
against
little
Miami.
garbage time. Okay, so not
Bye
he
week.
had one good week, one real bad week, and one normal week.
So now he's coming off of a bye.
Yep.
So,
Tyrod Taylor's back, for
and the
whatever
man
that's
is
worth.
projected for 13 points. That look to me seems like nobody's going to get those 13 points for Cook. We have someone should try and trade for him.
Well, they should have. The trade deadline passed. I really thought the Saints were going to try and trade for him, and they chose to go with the Saints. We beat Tom Brady, but we can't beat anyone else. Philosophy.
We beat Aaron Rodgers, we beat Tom Brady, but we can't beat anybody else.
Yeah, we can't beat below average players, but we could beat two of the best quarterbacks in the league.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so we got. I'm assuming we got Titans. Are they covering the 10.5 point spread? I guess is the only real question.
Uh
I guess there's two questions. And are you playing Brandon this week on his 13-point projection?
I think the Titans are
The
just
lot the logic should be that they're probably going to be losing, so they're going to have to throw the ball. But do you trust it? Is I guess the real question. Do you trust it enough to roll him out there?
I mean, in that regard, I would say look at your receivers. I mean, if you're hurting with bye weeks, it is definitely a time to play Cooks. But if you have top tier talent, you gotta look and be like, you know what, he might be not worth playing this week.
Of course. Okay, so say you're on a team and you got Cooper Cup, who's the number one fantasy wide receiver on the bye. Are you putting Cook in for him?
Yeah, like I said,
You putting Brandon Cooks in for him?
if you have a major receiver on a bye and you need to fill that spot, absolutely you play Brandon Cooks. That would be no doubt in my mind. Obviously, I don't know if I told you this before. I was actually offered a trade and I laughed out loud because it was a joke.
Okay.
and I'm going to read you the trade quick because it involves some wonderful receivers.
Go ahead.
I say loosely. So once I figure out how to, okay, pending moves. So I got a trade proposal to trade good old AJ
Okay.
to get AJ Green and Mike Davis.
Perfect.
Now, obviously, we're going to talk in the next game about AJ Dillon and his big fantasy looks coming up because he is projected for 15.5 this week. But I mean, yeah, my point was like AJ Green is not the AJ Green we remember or at all. So if you have a choice between AJ Green and Cooks, you're going to play Cooks.
Even
But
if Hopkins doesn't play again?
what?
Even if Hopkins does not play again. Say, is that the thing? So if Kyler Murray comes back, which it sounds like he is, and DeAndre Hopkins does not come back, saying a legitimate quarterback, not Chase Daniel, is AJ Green serviceable this week? Because the other team that has the bye, there's only two teams that bye this week. The other team has two serviceable wide receivers as well. Actually, possibly three serviceable wide receivers. The other team with the bye is Denver, with Judy, Sutton, and Patrick, and a tight end. But so with that being said, are you plug and playing? Sounds like you're still going to go with Cooks,
You
even if Hopkins is in play. I mean, I would try and stay away from both of them, but that's just me.
well, that's what the argument is. I mean, when we first brought up this game and I said about Cooks and I saw your face, I mean, that should tell you right from there. I mean, the Titans are the best team in the AFC, and I'm not saying that Ryan Tannehill is, the greatest quarterback right now, but he does what he needs to do. He passes the ball. He runs with the ball. He knows how to play the game. And I feel like the Titans are just so on another level, even without Derrick Henry, that I mean, how are you not thinking that they're going to just dismantle the Texans? Even if, yeah, they have to throw the ball. I get that. And yeah, that might look appealing for Cooks, but you're looking at a top playoff team, if not the best team right now.
So on January 1st, the Titans are still the best team in the AFC.
Yes, I'd make
Okay.
that bet.
Okay.
We're gonna circle back and see come January 1st if I'm correct in this prediction. What do you
Uh,
see? Do you see the Titans winning, or you see that the holy
obviously,
upset of the
obviously
Titans?
they're going to win the game. The Titans playing uh, college football teams are better than the Texans. I know it's hard to say that, realistically, blah blah blah. They're playing a high school team, so I'm going with yes. They will win the game easily.
Do they cover the spread?
I think so. I mean, I hope so. I hope AJ Brown was nuts, but anyway,
Wouldn't that be nice?
that would be.
Packers, Vikings. Vikings are at home.
You've been talking about how much you love the home teams, so you mentioned Aaron Rodgers. It's in Minnesota. Did
Well, to
you?
be fair, I mean Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson both did not look good last week.
Weird, right? Look like I don't even know what to call that, but anyway, yes, neither one looked very good last week.
So
So
I think the overall theme for this episode, I feel, is redemption. And I think this is Aaron Rodgers' redemption.
49 and a half points. Think so? So this is a huge Devontae Adams week, or is this a hey AJ Dillon's projected for 15 fantasy points? Is it going to be a lot of him?
Why not both? Why not Valdez Scantling? He
Okay,
gets
well
some major plays
here's
in
the
there.
real question because you're the top aficionado for this. The the over under is 49 and a half. Okay, so that's pretty fairly high scoring.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the highest game this week. The Chiefs game is. Second highest is the Bills game. And then there's a couple 49 and a halves. So is your boy Kirk Cousins, if what you're saying is true, is your boy Kirk Cousins keeping up with them? Obviously, they have the weapons. Is this going to be a good old backyard shootout as
I
everybody
was
keeps going
about to
up and down
say,
the
if
field?
you would have to ask me, it's going to be a shootout.
Okay.
This is the game you want to have Adam Thielen on
So
your
you tell me
team.
this is an easy over bet on this one on the 49 and a half. That they're
Easy.
You think
I
so?
see
I
this
do
team.
think so as well because Packers now have some injuries. They lost one of the linebackers that they traded for. He's out for the year, so that obviously doesn't help. Anytime you take a loss on defense, just from there, it doesn't help. The
Okay.
Packers are up there in defense, but you got weapons galore on Minnesota. You got weapons galore on Green Bay. Who's to say that both teams don't put up close to 30 points?
So now my question to you is, we obviously know it's going to be a big scoring game. Do we see love for both running backs and receivers? Do we see Dalvin Cook having a great game along with Thielen? Or
Both running backs have great PPR value for a game like this. So, is it, are you asking me if Dylan and Cook are going to get 30 carries each? Probably not, but getting 20 carries and 5 catches type of deal each is definitely not out of the question. As you've seen, granted Jones got hurt, but Dylan was starting to cut into some of his carries as we progressed throughout the season, which is a good thing. You can keep your backs healthy that way. It obviously works with a team like the Browns. So why not? But with no Jones this game, this could be a big game. Yeah, obviously, if it's gonna be a high scoring game, somebody has to do something. You're not sitting there going, okay, well Dylan's gonna get 3 touchdowns, Adam gets one, and then on the other side, Cook gets 4 touchdowns and nothing else. Either Thielen's gonna get a touchdown, Jefferson's there's plenty that can go around. You can't just focus in on one guy.
26 points last week for AJ.
Yeah, in a game where his quarterback was not good.
Mm-hmm.
And
Didn't even get 15.
Aaron Jones did play in that game. So, at some point, yes, Jones got hurt. So even with that being said, he was still able to put up those numbers. I don't think he's going that high this week, but I think he eclipsed 20 points. I think both running backs,
That's what I was going to say. Both
if they
do the
play
20
it, both
points.
should score 20 points.
This
The
might be the
Vikings need
fantasy lovers
Vikings need it
team.
more. The Vikings need it more because they need to keep up. So Cook getting 20 points should be a must for Minnesota if they're going to have a chance.
I do see, though, that the Packers will win this, and the final will be like 35-31.
Of course.
I see nothing
I,
against.
I, I don't see why that couldn't be, unless Kirk Cousins flops or, as usual, like I say, injuries. Injuries always affect outcomes. If it's a clean, healthy game, like I said before, this is a game. It could, you look. I'm thinking 56, 60 points for the,
Mhm.
which would be the over. So that'll be something I'll be looking at Sunday morning. But
That's
anyway,
100%.
moving along. We're gonna get into this new favorite thing because this has big playoff implications. Eagles, Saints. Eagles have won
Eagles
4 in a
are at
row.
home.
Eagles have won 4 games in a row. They don't look great. They're starting to win. And in an NFC, a weak NFC, where you may get 2 bad wild card teams, the Eagles are starting to win football games. The Saints, as we've seen, they beat Tom Brady. They beat Aaron Rodgers. They don't beat the
Mediocre
other
teams.
guys. Can they stop Jalen Hurts this week? The Eagles are favored.
And the Eagles are at home. It's you know what? Hey, you know me. Saints, baby, till I die. But I don't like this matchup for the Saints. Like you said, the Eagles have been looking fantastic. They've not fantastic in a way where they've won the last 4 games. There is no doubt in my mind that the Cowboys are running away with the division. I
Of
mean,
course.
there's no doubt in that. But the Eagles definitely could play to their advantage, being home, being in that Philly stadium.
Hmm.
It's something else. And obviously, the Saints are hurting. We didn't have Alvin Kamara last week.
Correct. And he is back this week.
He's back, which they're going to rely heavy on him. Not no disrespect to Mark Ingram, of course.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Getting
Philly choked that game and lost to the Chargers. They've not won four in a row, but
oh, they
still,
haven't.
no. Okay. So anyway, but
Well,
still,
some good old Greg here agrees with you that the Eagles still will win this game, though. And like I said, I think it's going to come down to, and I've said it before, I'll say it again. It's that pairing of Kamara and Ingram. Once they get back to the 2018, 2019, or 2018, excuse me, when they were just that dynamic duo where they're boom, 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 boom. I think that's what they need to have with the Eagles. And we don't have the receiving, and we don't have really a quarterback at the time. Yeah, we can have that Taysom Hill, when he's at quarterback, even though he's going to run to the right like all the time. But I feel like we're
the
going to
Eagles,
see a big game from Smith.
the Eagles have not had their bye yet. I don't think. I'm just checking in. The Eagles have a Week 14 bye, so their bye is still a few weeks away. So, with that being said, this is the Saints have 5 wins and the Eagles have 4 at the moment. So, like we're talking about, that this is a big wild card game. After they play the Saints, the Eagles go Giants, Redskins, Giants, Redskins. Their next 4 games.
Oh, Jesus.
So this game could be huge momentum builder for Philly. Because if they win that game, now you and the Saints both have 5 wins, and then you go Giants, Redskins, Giants, Redskins. I don't know who made this schedule. That's insane because you usually get games like that, but you have Giants, Redskins, Giants, Redskins. I mean, obviously, the way the season gone, anybody could win any game. But if something's looking positive for Philly, that would be it.
So let me give you the next 4 of the Saints then.
Good, because I was going to go to that next. So go ahead.
I got you, kid. The Bills we have next week,
Oh, see? So,
but we
because
are
they're not the
home.
Giants. But not the Giants.
Then we have the Cowboys
Even better.
the week after, again at home. Then we go over to East Rutherford and face the Jets.
So you get a bye week that week.
And then the week 4 is against the Bucks.
Okay. So, now going off of that, who is this game more important to?
Oh, easily the Saints.
Correct. So the Saints need to win this game to I don't want to say solidify, but to give themselves a little bit of, you know, okay, hey, we beat the Bucks once. Do we think that's gonna happen again? Probably not. We got to play the Bills and we got to play the Cowboys. Like that. That's not what you want to look at.
And obviously, after the 4 weeks, we do have to face Carolina and we have to face Atlanta again. So you have 2 division games right there. So this
Yes,
is a
and two
must
teams
win
that
for
are
the Saints.
still in the playoff hunt at the moment as well.
That's what I'm saying.
So
This is a must win for the Saints. Because when we get into the next game, which will also, again, have some implications, but I feel like the Saints need to show up, and the way they show up is with that duo running back system that they were so good last year. You have Sean Payton. He knows how they work. I mean, I don't think it's going to be a pretty game by any stretch of the imagination. I think this is really going to be just a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? A 3 and outs. I see a lot of 3 and outs from this game.
you think so? You don't think this is going to be an offensive game?
I really don't think this will be an offensive game. I think both teams are going to try. Both teams know the implication of this game. They know that it favors the Eagles if they win, and it will look better for the Saints if they win. So I see them erring on the side of caution because at the end of the day, both teams need to win, and it's going to be can Kamara and Ingram break down that Phillies defense to run through them, or is it going to be those big plays from Hurts to Smith? What is going to be the key factor? Because one thing, without a shadow of a doubt, I feel is there is going to be a star in this game. Who it could be? Alvin Kamara, could be Smith. Who knows who it could be?
No, again, the way these two teams play, it could be a defensive player that carries it. But like you said, these teams both know they need to win. Neither one is named Dallas, who's granted it's not a huge lead because there's extra games, so it doesn't look as big. But Dallas is going to win that division unless Prescott gets hurt again. So yes, you could say that almost every team needs to win in one way, shape, or form. Because even the Lions, who have no wins, need to win because you don't want to go 16-1 this season. So yeah, it's easy to be said. These teams know what's at stake. Which one shows up? Obviously, the Eagles for the next 4 or 5 weeks have a much better situation schedule. But again, it's the NFL. Anything can happen. The Jaguars beat the Bills, so anything
Yeah.
can happen. You can't just say, it is what it is. Things are gonna happen, but you like looking at that. Like I saw a thing last week. I only got a quick glimpse at it, and they're like, the Jets have the easiest schedule the rest of the season. Great. What does that mean? The Jets are still the Jets. I don't care who they're playing. They can have the easiest schedule the rest of their lives. Doesn't make a difference. It's still the Jets. And the same thing being said, they could have been like, "Oh, Buffalo's got the easiest schedule remaining," and then boom, they lose to Jacksonville. You're looking past it because we got an easy schedule.
But the Eagles do have an easier schedule.
They certainly do. But that's why it's a big game for them too because that allows them a little slip up. The problem with the Saints schedule is that it doesn't allow you to slip up. Now you got to go beat Brady again, or you got to go beat Josh Allen, or you got to go beat Dallas.
That's it. I do not see this. I definitely see this being an under. I do not see this game at all coming close to that number.
I I need to see what defense. You could tell it early on if the defenses came to play because if the Saints can't stop Hurts running, I don't know if the Saints can control the game then. Like if Hurts is controlling the clock running and he's picking up first downs without really forcing him into throwing the ball, the Saints, yeah, you could play back into that. But if you're running the ball on first, second, and third down, it's a lot harder to get first downs and get big chunk yards
Mhm.
unless your blocking is elite. Quarterbacks running, it's a lot easier for quarterbacks to pick up chunk plays. Where you get outside the pocket, the defense is playing the pass, so the defenders are back turned to the quarterback, and he just takes off and runs.
And gets a nice 8 to 12
Yeah,
yards.
where you're handing the ball to Kamara, and he's running straight into, a pile of humanity just
Just
stacked
once,
up.
I want to see the man run to the left.
Yeah, well,
But
uh,
I
yeah,
think, like I said before, it's going to be a shaky game. I think it's by a touchdown, and I don't even see it being that much. I see 16-9, and I couldn't even tell you who would be the one to get the 16.
you- yeah, I think it'll be a little more scoring than that.
Well, Greg thinks that the Eagles are going to at least score 20 points. There's
Well,
a
that's
very
what I'm going off of. I think it could be a 21-17, 21-20, like a real close nail biter. Last team to have the ball wins the game type of thing.
field
Walk
goal to
off
win it.
field
Yep.
goal, etc.
If we
I
actually
could
have a
cert-
good
I could certainly see that. But like I said, you'll know early on. We get off this Eagles. Okay. But yeah, I could see it becoming that. But I feel like that's a game early, where if both teams are just storming down the field, now all of a sudden you're looking at 45-44. And you're like, what the hell just happened?
God, imagine.
But I'm just saying, if the defenses don't show up, obviously, Kamara can break a big play.
18 and a half points for Kamara projected.
Jalen Hurts can break a big play. Smith didn't have huge yardage last week, but he had 2 touchdowns. So, or that might have been 2 weeks ago. Either way, Smith's been showing up after we essentially said he's unplayable. He's been playable the last 2 weeks. So is that Jalen Hurts? Is that him? Whatever it is, it's working. So I'll take it.
I agree. Panthers, Washington. Panthers are at home.
This is the. I
God,
don't
I've
even want to
never been
call.
more of a Washington fan than I will be this Sunday.
It's not even a revenge bowl because, I guess Riverboat Ron wants to beat the Panthers, but so it's not like Cam Newton's coming back. He's probably starting. They're trying to say he's not starting, but I'm pretty sure he's starting.
I would, I
So
would, I would make that assumption as well that they have to start him.
so let's go with the obvious. I know I'm not going to touch on every little aspect of this game because yeah, DJ Moore, does he gain value back with Cam Newton at quarterback? I guess is the real question. DJ Moore has not been great of late. I don't know what he did last week because I didn't play him. I said, you know what, you're taking this week off with Walker starting, and he rode the pine. He's currently averaging 70 receiving yards a game, which is down from his previous 2 years. Just looking at his stats while we go. Are you feeling better about DJ Moore with Cam Newton? Is my question.
What Cam Newton do I get?
Who knows? Cam Newton had 2 touchdowns last week, though. Are you expecting MVP Cam Newton? You're insane if you are.
I don't get Superman Cam Newton.
But DJ Moore had 3 catches for 32 yards last week and 2 rushes for 14. So we're looking at 6.1 fantasy points last week. I would hope you think he'd be better this week, one way or another. But is he good enough? He's usually projected for about 12 fantasy points in ESPN. Are you confident enough to play him? We have AJ Brown, Adam Thielen, DJ Moore, and I don't remember because usually one of them's flex, but we have a running back that we can flip in at flex. So are you confident playing DJ Moore this week? We already talked about how we think the Vikings Packers game is going to be a huge game, so there's no way benching Thielen. It's extremely hard to bench AJ Brown. Are we trusting DJ Moore? Mr. Corner. Enlighten me. I'm gonna actually bring it up while you're contemplating.
It's not that I'm contemplating. Everybody knows. If anybody knows me, they know that Cam Newton, I think, is just terrible. I understand that he got the 2 touchdowns, but I don't think that he is going to be as good. Obviously, let me backtrack. I think he'll be better than he was being back in Carolina than he was in New England, but I think it will take me a week or two to feel comfortable with playing more out there. I feel like let me see this Carolina team that's coming, especially against Washington. What is Carolina going to show up? They're also, I want to say they're 6-4,
Carolina's 5-5.
5-5.
If that's what you're going with. Yes,
They're
they're
5-5. I
5-5.
mean, looking good. Obviously, could make a playoff run. So, is this the game where they show that Cam Newton says, "No, I'm here to take back my team and bring us to the promised land"?
Well,
That's the question.
does this open up more for McCaffrey? Read options where you're running. Sam looked real good early in the year running the ball before McCaffrey got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
So does this open it up like it did in the beginning of the year for those two guys? McCaffrey was really good last week. So is this something that now opens up this Panthers offense. I'm not saying that they're going to be top 10 offense the rest of the way out, but is this something that opens up their offense? Now it's like, okay, if Cam doesn't have to shoulder the load because he has playmakers, does this change the dynamic of that offense? DJ Moore, we're going to have to play this week because Daryl Henderson has a bye, unless you want to play Emmanuel Sanders, but that's a different story,
No,
different
I'd put
times.
more over Sanders any day.
Okay, so the answer is we're playing DJ Moore. The boss says.
But like I said, if anything, at the end of the day, this is my curiosity game where I'm like, let's see what Cam Newton is going to bring. Is he still going to look good? Is he still going to make the big plays? Is he going to be with more? Is him and McCaffrey just going to have a nice little 1-2 punch? What is going to happen in this game? And you have Gibson, who's right now questionable, but had a very good game last week.
Yeah, well, I got the alert. Terry McLaurin, who I have, was questionable, and then the next day it's Terry McLaurin's healthy. So
Yeah, of course. And
I'll
I
worry
expect
about
very
that.
similar things with Gibson.
Saturday night, Sunday morning. The over under in this game is 43.5. Carolina puts up, and I don't even see this as unrealistic because Washington lost Chase Young, their best player for the year. Carolina puts up 35 points. Do you put any stock into that? I don't think it's unrealistic. It could happen because Washington's not a great team. They don't have a good offense. They don't have a good defense. So a lot could go wrong where the Panthers end up with great field position, etc. Where the Panthers end up putting up points. Do you put stock into that, or is it just they were playing Washington, and this is what happened? Yeah, I'm not saying Cam Newton's gonna throw for 300 yards. I'm not saying Cam Newton's gonna run for 100 yards. But if Christian McCaffrey runs for $150, which
It's
at any given
realistic.
time is realistic, and say DJ Moore puts up 85 yards and a touchdown, are we
Realistic.
chalking this up to they played Washington, or are we chalking this up to hey, this Panthers offense is now going forward, going in the right direction?
Well, it all depends on how, like you said earlier, with the Saints Eagles. I think the few, and we have a question, but
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's definitely gonna be the beginning of the game where you're gonna see what Panthers are there. Are they confident? Are they gonna deliver? We have a question of Mac Jones, Tua, or Herbert, and then we have Gaskins or James Robinson. Which one would you like to answer first, sir?
Let's go with
We have
either.
Tua as a vote.
I could go either way with Mac Jones or Tua for this
I
week.
agree.
I put more stock into Mac Jones this week, though. I had a choice of both, and I went with Mac Jones because I think the Patriots are going to stomp the Falcons. That's the reason why I went with Mac Jones. I wouldn't fault you either way. I feel like you could flip a coin and be all right with either one. I just feel like obviously the Patriots are not name talent, but are more talented than Miami right now. So I think that's why I want Mac Jones. James Robinson, even though they're not playing, they're playing a good team, much better team. I think you have to play James Robinson. Gaskins has left a lot to be desired this year, and I wouldn't trust him enough to play him over James Robinson.
I agree. I do think that James Robinson, and you can make the choice of Jones or Tua. I think both teams will deliver. Of course, Tua is going against the Jets, and we said earlier in the podcast, Jones is going against the Falcons, who really just can't deliver.
Appreciate it. Thank you very
We
much.
appreciate you. Thank you very much. But definitely, we have to say this. I don't think Herbert's an option at all.
Well, he's regressed this year, which is sad to see with all that weapons he has. And they're obviously playing the best team out of the three quarterbacks. So
Well, that's what I said. Nothing against him. Like I said, in another week, he might be my pick. But right now, it's definitely Jones or Tua. I don't think you can go wrong with either of them. So let's jump in. We think that Carolina will most likely have a 35-10 win,
Yes.
and that's what I think you're going with. My
I think
question:
they're going to score. I think they're going to put up 30 points this week.
You think Carolina will put 30 points up?
Yes, which is over under being 43. They're practically covering that themselves. What Washington will do is the real question. Will Washington hang with them, or will Washington, score 10 points?
Like I said, Gibson did give me 20 points, so
Yep. But
hopefully
now,
he delivers
now we're on
again.
to a new week again, and
Eh,
it's a whole new week.
Whole new week, whole new challenges. 49ers versus Jags. Jags are at home.
Yay.
Yeah.
Are you buying into the Jaguars hype? They beat Buffalo.
Could you see this being an upset where the Jags beat the 49ers?
I mean, the 49ers crushed the Rams, did they not? So, you got, what can you say? You beat one of the best teams in the NFC, and now you're playing the Jaguars. Are you going to get a let me down like with Buffalo and Jacksonville, or are you going to get hey, we're a little bit outside looking in the playoff hunt right now. Can we get it going? Thing from the 49ers. Debo Samuels looked great.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
The running game is steady. I don't want to call it solid because it's not there yet, but it's steady. And as they say, steady wins the race. So spread's only 6.5. So not a ton of faith in the 49ers. I get it that you get 3 points for being home. So realistically, it's a 10-point spread. So is this going with the momentum for San Fran? Is this a Jacksonville upset? What do you got?
So I think, in my opinion, it's going to be San Fran's proving point. Rams are arguably the best team in the NFC. I mean, they have the best receiver. They, as much as it pains me to say, they have a great quarterback at the helm,
Mm-hmm.
and they're going off of beating the Rams. I mean, which is not an easy feat at all. So, do they run that into the Jaguars? Yeah, the Jaguars home, and this is one game that I might say, okay, yeah, they're home field advantage, great, but the Jags beating the Bills was, I don't want to say a
Is
fluke.
it a
That's
fluke? Is
bad.
that what you're going with? I wouldn't. If they played 100 times, you could simulate it. If they played 100 times, how many times did Jacksonville come out on top of Buffalo?
10.
10, 10 out of 100. Okay, I can see that.
But
So
I think,
flukish, but not a complete fluke is what
yeah,
we're
yeah,
going with.
like they definitely they have the team. Like I said, you're going to get points from James Robinson. That's why we're saying that he is the play here. That he will put some fantasy points on your team. But
Well, that and so Robinson coming back the next week. Carlos Hyde, who filled in for him the week before when he was hurt, Carlos Hyde got 2 carries. So James Robinson's playing. James Robinson's getting the ball. Carlos Hyde is zero threat to him. So there's never a case of worrying about him. You got to worry about what they do offensively. If they're losing by 40, obviously James Robinson's not going to still be in the game.
mhm, mhm.
But again, Carlos Hyde filled in for Robinson when he was hurt. I think he got about 9 fantasy points. Nothing, outrageous. And as soon as Robinson came back the next week, Carlos Hyde got 2 carries for 4 yards. So there's legitimately no threat there.
Can this San Fran defense hold Robinson down?
That's
That's the question.
that's more than likely, but again, I get it that Gaskins is a better matchup. I know we're not completely talking about this. That Gaskins is a better matchup. Gaskins had like 2 usable fantasy weeks out of 10, where James Robinson became, even before that, before ETN got hurt, James Robinson was still being drafted.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
things like that, one way or another, he's going to touch the ball again, unless they're losing by 40, and I don't see San Fran winning this game by 40.
I see, and
So
that's what
so
my next point is. I
he'll
see a
get his
10-point
fantasy
game
points,
here.
which is what the if you take away being at home is. So you get San Fran by 10.
Yeah, I'd say San Fran by 10. I think
Yeah,
that's a safe
I
bet.
think that's probably correct. Go ahead.
Bengals,
Bengals, Raiders.
Raiders. Raiders are at home. Is this the redemption of the Raiders after that defeat against Mahomes?
Well, they need to win. That's a definite, and so do the Bengals. So this is kind of like the Saints game. Your two teams that are in the wild card hunt. Realistically,
Mhm.
technically, even the Bengals are really in the division hunt because nobody wants to run away with the division. You get a big win and then you lose to a bad team. The Bengals lost to the Jets. The the Ravens lost to Miami last week. So who wants to win it? The Steelers tied the Lions. Better than a loss, but still embarrassing. Nobody wants to win that division. The Browns do what the Browns do. Nobody wants to win that division. So the division's still winnable. Bengals are favored. Games in Vegas. Enlighten me.
So here's where I'm going to say something where this is why I think the Bengals may have a shot. And that's
The
good
fa-
old
the,
receiver Chase.
the favorite team may have a shot. Okay.
I think Burrow and Chase just have this thing going over there that's just fantastic. It goes back to when they were playing in college, if I'm correct. Like I see that being definitely points wise for those two players. But at the end of the day, the Las Vegas Raiders are going to come to play. They have the playmakers to make it happen. I always think that Derek Carr is a great quarterback. I played him a couple weeks back in fantasy, and he did me justice. You have good old Waller there as a beefy ass tight end. So, yes,
Well,
the
obviously,
Bengals may be
teams.
favored, but I do see that the Raiders at home in Vegas will come out with the victory.
Both teams got plenty of firepower. This is another one of those 49.5 over under
Mhm.
games. So they're going to score. I'm not going to dive into it because now, you know, we're going. We're just going.
God,
Is
we
this a
might be
game?
by this Thursday night game.
Exactly.
Uh,
Like you touch on, Chase is good. And I think teams need to do that more often. Miami did it with Waddle and Tua. But like I said, they keep trying to get rid of Tua. The team should do this more often where if you got a stud college quarterback and he's got a star receiver, you go for him. Go get him and give them that guy. That's how you build.
and
But
it's
this
been
is a
working for them.
it certainly is. It certainly has been. It started a little slow, but they have the weapons. They have Higgins. They have Chase. They have Boyd. The tight end Uzama has been I don't want to say up and down, but he's been up and then he's been like kind of plateaued. He gets it done. And then they have Joe Mixon. You come out with the Raiders. Obviously, we know what happened with their receiving core, but they have Jacobs, who again is trending in the wrong direction this season. Injuries
Mhm.
could have played a part in it, but they still have weapons: Waller, Jacobs, Drake, Renfro, things like that. So, you taking the Bengals favored by one in this? You think the Raiders are going to upset in a home game, home crowd, raucous Raider Nation?
I think the Raiders have something to prove. They were looking good in the West, and the Chiefs embarrassed them last week.
They did.
So this is their home field. This is them saying, we may be down, but we're not out. It's the vibe I've been given is home field. Yeah, the Bengals may be favored. Yeah, you got Higgins. Yeah, you got Chase. You got Mixon. Cool. I'm not saying that they're not great players. I'm not saying you shouldn't play them in fantasy. I'm not saying, but I think when it comes point to point, I don't think that the Raiders are going to lose this game.
Well, the Raiders do have something to prove. First place in the AFC West is 6-4. Last place in the AFC West is 5-5.
Mm-hmm.
So they're all bunched up right there.
It's a
Somebody
must win.
needs somebody needs to take charge in that division Can it be the Raiders? Why not? It could be any of those teams. But I'm going to echo what you said, and the Bengals also have something to prove. They were talking about, oh, the Bengals, this is their coach's second season. To begin the year, they're like, oh, this guy's on the hot seat already, blah, blah, blah. He's a young coach, etc. They're starting to win now already. Get it? They had a real bad loss, yes. But they're starting to win. Can they prove that this is the core of a team that can win in Cincinnati? So again, with that division being so wide open, you would think that the Ravens should be a shoe-in, but anything can happen the way the football season's gone. I think the Bengals need to prove that they're not just, a fun team. They used to call the Rams the greatest show on turf because they'd run up and down the field.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want the Bengals to be that. The Bengals need to prove that they're a legitimate football team and, not just a fun thing to watch.
So does that mean you think the Bengals will win this game then?
I think the Bengals need to win this game. I want. I don't want to say I want them to win. I don't want anybody to win any game. You know, I think the Bengals will win the game. Yes,
By
on
how
the
much?
road.
Is this a
Five,
field goal last
five,
minute?
5. I think they'll score. I think it'll be like a 1 point game. They'll score the touchdown, go for two and fail, and you get an odd number like 5. And the Raiders will get the ball back with like 10 seconds left, and they can't like
They
that
can't
type
make
of
it
deal.
happen.
Not intense, like that.
All right, I am could have respectfully disagree. I do think that the Raiders will win. I'm very curious about this game. I definitely want to keep my eye on this one. But what I'm actually very excited to talk about is our next game, which is the Chiefs versus the Cowboys. Chiefs are at home,
And
and
here's
I
your
cannot wait to
55 and a half
unravel
point
this
spread.
gift.
55 and a half over under. So the betting line, no defense is being played in this game. I get it
No,
that they both have really good offenses. But what you're telling me is that there's no defense being played at all. No one's stopping each other.
this is a 60-plus game, 60-point game, easy.
So is Mahomes on the right track now after last week? You have him in ESPN. He saved your bacon.
He did save my bacon. I do think that, yeah, it is. It's Mahomes showing why he was
Because
last year one of the
we've
best
had this
quarterbacks.
conversation. Oh, Mahomes needs to prove why he's the guy. He needs to prove why he's the guy. And he didn't. And last week, he went off. So are we expecting? I'm obviously not expecting 5 touchdowns every week, but are we expecting top tier Mahomes play the rest of the season? The Mahomes of last year.
I think we'll see that in the game with the Cowboys, because the Cowboys, like we've mentioned before, are the top team right now in the NFC East, and they're looking good. Zeke has been looking great as of late.
Well, they stomped Atlanta. Atlanta and the Chiefs are two different teams. Neither one are very good defensively, though. So is this a week where Dallas is still going to put up 40?
Well,
And if the
this
answer
is a
is yes,
60-plus game. This is 60 points easy in this game.
okay, but is it 60 points or is it 80 points? Is it going to be 45-40, 45-42? And if so, if they're putting up 40 points, who's winning the game?
You have to go with the Chiefs.
So you have to go with the possible best team in the NFC losing to the preseason favorite for best team.
Yeah,
Okay.
you would argue with that
I also
statement.
picked the Chiefs. But I do watch Good Morning Football when I dog sit. And they all think the Cowboys are going to win this game. So
Like I said, I
obviously
do see it being a
we'll
high
find out.
scoring game,
Well, it's
but
not like the spread's 10 points. The spread's 2.5, which the Chiefs are getting 3 points for being a home team, which means the Cowboys are favored by half a point. It's very hard to win a football game by half a point. So, the 45-44 type of game, maybe. I think it's a little too much scoring, but it'll be up there.
I do see a 45-35 game.
So, and you think the Chiefs are going to be the one with the 45?
I do. I think we're going to see a Travis Kelsey game.
which makes sense. I mean, all makes sense. The Cowboys do have one corner who's up there in the league in interceptions, but he also hasn't covered Tyreek Hill all year. So as long as Tyreek Hill's healthy, Mahomes is healthy-ish. I think it's gonna be real hard to stop that threesome trio, whatever you want to call
That's
it,
what I'm
of Hill,
saying.
Kelsey, Mahomes. I mean, it's gonna be real hard for them to stop. Prescott, Lamb, Cooper, Elliott as well. But
Well, that's why it's going to be. That's why the spread is so much.
this is gonna be the show me game on how real the Cowboys are more than anything. If
This
the
is more
Cowboys
on
get
the
blown out of the
Cowboys than
water,
the Chiefs, you would say.
this is the Cowboys need to prove that they're a legitimate contender for the NFC. Okay, I get it. The Rams have had a couple stinkers. The Bucks have had a couple stinkers, but you need to be lumped in with them. One team has Tom Brady. The other team has Stafford, who's never hasn't won anything because he's never had a chance to. But they have a legitimate team. Cowboys need to prove that they're legit as well. But I still think Chiefs win the game.
I agree.
So we're moving on to your Peter Bowl here. Your favorite. This has got to be your favorite game of the week.
Cardinals versus the Seahawks. The Seahawks are at home.
Okay, Russell Wilson came back and looked
Terrible.
not like Russell Wilson.
Exactly.
Kyler
Was that just
Murray.
Russ?
Kyler Murray practiced last week. I'll get into that. Kyler Murray practiced last week, didn't play. Kyler Murray's practice this week again has not been declared the starter yet, and Hopkins as well has not been declared if he's playing or not yet. So with that being said, Russell, did he shake off the rust now? And the game's in Seattle, so the fans are crazy for Seahawks games. Is this the week the Seahawks, who are in last place in that division, upset the Cardinals?
So, if you asked me 3 weeks ago, I would say absolutely not. I think the Cardinals would be the team. But with the injuries and how the Cardinals have been playing, I think this could be a game where Russell Wilson shows up and says, you know what? I had my little bit of rust. I shook it off. I'm home. I got the energy of the crowd. It's all about that home field advantage. And I think that Russell Wilson may not get crazy fantasy points. I'm not expecting 30 points from him this week, but I definitely see a solid 20 to 25 from Russell Wilson showing that they can play. Now, in hindsight, if Murray does play and Hopkins does play, then it's going to be a test on Seattle's D because you know that hookup with Kyler Murray and Hopkins will be there. But if you would say to me right now that both are playing, being Kyler and Hopkins, I would say that the Cardinals will win this by a touchdown. If they do not play or they sit them for an extra week, I do see the pairing of the Russell Wilson DK Metcalf week.
Well, with the assumption on the lines and all of that is that the players are playing, and they're only favored by 2.5 with them playing. So, but this is another one of the 49.5 games. So it doesn't seem like a lot of defense is going to get played again.
So we have Greg saying that Pete Carroll should probably retire.
We've talked about this. I know we talked about it on the show. We've talked about it. He's the oldest coach in the league. So
He is.
is it time to get a new voice in that locker room with all that talent they have? I don't even like all that talent they have. Lockett, for what he's been, has been an overachiever. DK Metcalf's a beast. Russell Wilson, and again, I'm not saying Russell Wilson was a bad quarterback, but what he was percepted to be, he's overachieved. There was a reason why he played two sports. He was a baseball draft pick and a football draft pick.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't excel at one of them. So, and again, like Russell Wilson wasn't a first round pick. And he transferred colleges because, so, He's definitely overachieved. And then you say the same thing. Tom Brady was 6 round picks, won 6 Super Bowls, blah blah blah. Of course, but again, so who you can't say that Tom Brady is not an overachiever as well because if everybody knew this was Tom Brady, then he would have the first overall pick.
Mm-hmm.
With that being said, Seattle needs to show something. I don't. If they keep going down this road, Pete Carroll will be gone, and then they need to figure out what they're doing. Are we building with Russell? Is Russell still the guy
Our
to lead
guy.
us for the next 5 years? Or not?
So
I
this
do
is
think
more on a Seattle game, you're saying?
Seattle's done. I don't think they're gonna even with the NFC wild card being so wide open. I don't think Seattle's got a shot this year. They're not the
Seattle
Legion of Boom and
yesteryear.
all that. Yeah, they're not all that. The Cardinals need to get back on track. So this is a Cardinals game. Cardinals obviously need Kyler Murray to play.
100%.
You know, can they win without Hopkins? Of course. Can they win without Hopkins and Murray? That's obviously a lot harder. But I think the Cardinals need to come out and do their thing.
So if they play, do you say Cardinals win?
If they play, absolutely. If they don't play, then I think the 2.5 points is more realistic. If they do play, I think it's more of a touchdown game.
I agree. I will 100% agree with that. Chargers, Steelers, Sunday night game. Chargers are at home.
This one's I think 47.5. Yep. So
What
the
a
Steelers
hot.
coming off a tie without their quarterback. I don't believe Roethlisberger's been cleared yet either. While I have this up, I will look. And the Chargers, as we talked about earlier, Herbert's not been great, but they have so many weapons. So
So
what do
many
you
ways. And that was
take
going to be
on
my
this?
argument. You have the Steelers coming off a tie against the Lions. Now, again, Lions not great this year, but you
No.
have the Steelers having to prove that no, we're going to try to be the number one team in our division. But you have the Chargers that are home with the weapons of Austin Eckler, Keenan
Mm-hmm.
Allen.
Yep.
How are you going to defend against that? Especially when you couldn't even go against the goddamn fucking Lions.
Mm-hmm.
It took you a full overtime period and you couldn't even beat them. How do you think you're going to beat the Chargers who have the weapons that arguably, and I'm saying that Swift and Eckler, obviously, Eckler is the better running back. And you also have Keenan Allen, which obviously Hawkinson is a tight end, but you have these top tier talents. How is this not the Chargers game to win? How is this not a bye week for the Chargers? That is my question to you. I would think that the Chargers are going to win by 2 touchdowns.
So Roethlisberger, who also has not been cleared, but is vaccinated, so he could get cleared at any time, is preparing to play this week. The drumbeat that is Pittsburgh is there's little doubt that he wouldn't play, but he's now been on the list for 5 days and still needs a negative test to return. He may be running out of days, which could put Rudolph on the field. If Rudolph plays, it'll be a healthy bump for the Chargers defense. So again, obviously, that's a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
That is also correct, Greg. You've seen what happened with Aaron Rodgers, things like that. Even quarterbacks in general, not just COVID, they haven't looked great, in their comeback games. I think the Chargers, and again, with that division being open, I think the Chargers need to win this game badly. I mean, Steelers need to win the game too because that division's open, but I think the Chargers need to, get Herbert going in the right direction.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But I think that if any week they would have a chance, how could it not be this week?
Well, it's never about having a chance. We talked about it somewhat earlier. If they barely beat the Eagles. So what Charger team's going to show up? A Charger team that looked dominant the first few games where they were putting up points without a problem, or a Chargers team that struggled to beat the Eagles.
Like I said, I stand by mine. I believe Chargers by 2 touchdowns. I think it's a need to win, and I think they will deliver in that game.
Yeah, I think I mean, again, both teams need to win the game, but I think the Chargers this week for that game have a lot more to prove. The Steelers, again, you need to see who's playing quarterback. If Roethlisberger's not playing, the Steelers couldn't beat the Lions.
That's
So
what I'm
if they can beat
saying.
the Lions, there's no way they're beating the Chargers. And it's a
And
6 point favorite, assuming Ben's playing. So
Ben ain't all that great lately, but that's
no,
just
he's not, but he's still better than Mason Rudolph.
yeah, yeah, of course, of course, of
You know,
course.
it's gonna be real hard to argue that Mason Rudolph's better than Ben Roethlisberger. Claypool should play, which would be a boost to them because he didn't play last week. But again, who's playing quarterback is a lot of what's going to factor in on that.
Agreed.
God, give us this closing game.
The
Tell us
Monday
about
night
this
game,
Monday night massacre. I mean, Monday night
the Bucks
game.
versus the Giants. The Bucks are at home. The Giants win by 40, right?
The Bucks are 11.5 point favorite, coming off a horrendous loss. I know one of the interceptions was Tom Brady's fault. One of the interceptions was not Tom Brady's fault. Still two interceptions. I think he might have even thrown a third interception, but either way, is this Brady coming back down to earth? Is like Lamar Jackson type of deal, or was this just something went completely wrong? He had an off day. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. What's the better option starting Harris?
I so I'm gonna go off of what I've seen today. The Good Morning Football does not like Edwards Hilaire this week, so I'm gonna say do not go that route. I think you play Harris this week. If you have to play both, I think I may still play both. If I were to choose, I would go Harris and then wait and see what's going on with the Chiefs. And if Edwards Hilaire is back, maybe go with Jordan Howard. I know I got a Bleach Report or Yahoo report saying Bateman was banged up. I didn't look into it yet, but you definitely got to play Harris this week. If
Agreed.
you choose to play both, I don't think it's the worst idea in the world for this week. But it would definitely be Harris and then Stevenson, Williams, or Howard. I think will be serviceable options. I know you don't want to play two running backs on the same team unless you name Chubb and Hunt, but definitely Harris, and then I would wait and see what happens with Edwards Hilaire. Running backs coming off injuries, unless they're David Montgomery, haven't really been a great thing either. Like McCaffrey wasn't great when he came back his first week. Actually, 2 weeks. We know Barkley is going to be what Barkley's going to be. So I would take a wait and see approach, but I wouldn't be against playing both running backs just for this week, since the Falcons got stomped by Dallas last week. They could be a deflated team.
No love for Tony?
No, Tony Pollard's beyond being an option at this point. We dropped him in ESPN.
100%, 100%. So again, I state the Giants by 40.
Yeah, it's got to be. Is Eli Manning coming back to play?
Oh God,
Because I believe that's the only thing that is to kryptonite to Tom Brady. So
I mean, do you see this being a massacre? I believe it will be.
I think Tom Brady. You see what happens when Tom Brady. I don't even want to say something to prove, but he's coming off a bad week. I wouldn't be shocked if Brady throws 4 touchdowns in the first half. As a statement,
I agree.
can the Giants keep it close? I don't think so. I think the Giants are going to score some points. They're not going to
But
score
I
enough
think
points.
this will be by 2 touchdowns. It
This has got 38-17 written on it. 38-21. Barkley's probably going to play. The Giants receivers, for the most part, should play. But one team is Tom Brady and the other team is Daniel Jones. And that is the bigger factor. Antonio Brown did practice, which means absolutely nothing to me because Evans and Godwin are, unless those two aren't playing, I don't because I have Tom Brady. I don't have any of the receivers. The more weapons, the better. But Brady's been pretty good outside of last week without him, and for the most part, Gronk. So that doesn't affect my opinion much whether he plays or doesn't play or things like that. I think Brady's gonna just come out and be like, okay, I need to prove something else. Oh my
But
goodness.
now my question to you is then do we see a Leonard Fournette sighting? Or is he going to be put on the back burner because Brady's just going to be hungry
Oh
to
no,
show why he's
Leonard
dominant?
Fournette's gonna get his touches just because you need to balance the game. And then as they go up by more and more, then obviously there'll be more and more Fournette, especially in the second half.
So there you have it.
So
Bucks definitely going to win this game.
it would be really hard to see them not winning this game. So, I mean, if you can give me Kenny Galladay is going to go off and keep them in this game prediction and go for it. But I Daniel Jones needs to be able to move that ball, and I don't think he'll be able to do a good enough job of that. Especially Barkley plays coming off an injury. Tampa has a good run defense to begin with. Barkley's been what Barkley's been the last few years, last 2 years, I would say, getting hurt, not running to his
Mhm.
potential, etc. So those things help them because they're going to want to give Barkley the ball. So you're just playing into Tampa. You're playing to their strength. So that's not a good thing. So unless Brady's turning the ball over, it's going to be real hard for the Giants to keep up.
That is a fair and accurate response. So there you go. Those are the games for week 11.
Yep.
Got our little 2-minute warning up. Ask your questions as we approach game time, which is in 3 minutes.
That is correct.
We've gone for almost 2 hours. Good Lord, sir. It has been
Hmm.
some kind of adventure today.
Yes, it has been. I keep getting bombarded with spam calls and spam messages, which are distracting the hell out of me, and I apologize for that. It's just getting frustrating at this point. Trying to keep my brain on tact. I've won like 8 iPhones in the last hour, so if anybody needs an iPhone, I've apparently got like 8 of them. I just need to provide my address and things like this.
And all the things.
But yeah, it's been a day. We're back, less and less teams having bye weeks, so it's a few extra games to talk about. There's only 2 teams in a bye this week, so we had
Hmm.
15 games to talk about and a bunch of upsets last week to talk about. But yeah,
We'll see some upsets again. I have no
think so.
doubts. Yeah.
There's always going to be, there's probably going to be an upset, but are we looking at next week? Don't forget the Colts. We're bookmarking it. Colts.
God,
Colts making
let
an
me tell you.
AFC South run.
Let me tell you something. The Colts, Bills, uh, um, the Packers, Vikings, the Eagles, Saints, and the Chiefs, Cowboys are my most.
Well, I would say almost all the back end outside of the Monday Night Football game. You know, you get into that point where you're playing teams that are, right near each other in standings, whether it's wild card, division, whatever. So the team's got something to play for, and then you got a couple of those ones where an NFC team is playing an AFC team, and they're both, right there in the wild card race. Who's going to stand out more, type of thing.
Mhm, mhm. But I want to thank everybody for watching. I want to thank you, Joe, for always joining me every Thursday at 6:30 live here on YouTube, on Facebook, on
Oh,
Twitch, all
wait,
this
wait, wait.
stuff.
We got to give them a thing. Next week, I think we're going on Friday because I don't think we have any other day that matches up to go unless we do a Thursday night one before the game, which could be
Which
an option, but it may be a little later. But next week, to being the holiday, we will let you guys know ahead of time. We'll post it on
all the
Facebook,
things.
Twitter, everything. I'm thinking maybe because we'll talk off stream about work hours, etc., and then we'll come with that.
Yeah,
But
we'll make it work. Like I said, you'll see it over on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch. We'll let you know. Of course, you could always follow us on Twitter, Improv Pete, J underscore Rush 24.
yes,
You see it
sir.
right down below as it's been scrolling this whole time. But thank you guys for watching. Enjoy some Thursday night football where you're going to see the Patriots dominate. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you Thanksgiving week.
Yes, sir. Peace.